Is this on? Can you hear me? You can hear me, right? Good morning. No, I said good morning. Happy Friday, happy Friday. So thank you so much for the lovely introduction. We are part of Warner Brothers Discovery, and obviously after that amazing opening keynote, you need to know how to get there, right? So that's where we're here for. We're here to help you out. So we're gonna be going over some networking, resumes, and portfolio tips that we have for all of you. Now, we wanna start off with, we're here to help you, right? You have questions, we wanna answer them. So make sure that you're using these next couple of minutes to really dig into the information that we're sharing with you, and then really think about those questions that you wanna share at the end. So let's get started, shall we? Really quickly, who are we? So first, my name is Gaby Flores-Sanchez. I am from the New York area. I'm an early talent recruiter. I help oversee the areas of internships within sports, so anything within Bleacher Report, NBA on TV, corporate comms, D&I, and CNN en Español. And then I'm gonna let my two partners introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Tyler. I am from the New York area as well, from Brooklyn. I've been with the team now for almost 2 years. I oversee all of our finance, accounting, data science, legal, corporate, and MBA-specific roles at WBD. And I'll pass it over to Taylor.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor. I'm also one of the early talent recruiters here at WBD, and I primarily recruit for our CNN production and editorial internships. I am based in the New York area as well, so really excited to chat with you all today and hopefully, teach you something new that you can apply for the entire session today.
Awesome, thanks, Tay. So a little bit about WBD. WBD is a leading global and media entertainment company, hopefully you've heard of us by now, that creates and distributes the world's most differentiated and complete portfolio of content and brands across television, film, and streaming. Of course, we're available in more than 220 countries and territories and over 50 languages. WBD inspires, informs, and entertains audiences worldwide through its iconic brands and products. So hopefully you recognize our names, hopefully you're using some of our products as well. So our main location hubs, of course right now we have a main location hub here in New York with several offices across the country as well, including Atlanta, which is where our amazing Techwood office and campus is, Los Angeles, so of course WBD lot, Washington DC, where you'll mostly find everything CNN related, and then Seattle as well for our tech hub. A little bit about our internship program. So of course, it's designed to really be not only professional, but really personable to you, right? We wanna make sure that your experience is one of a kind. You're not gonna find our program anywhere else. We wanna make sure that by the time that you leave with the most knowledge possible. And not only that, but maybe a career in your journey. So of course, on top of mentorship, executive speaker sessions, networking events, and professional development seminars, words are hard on a Friday, we offer career-defining opportunities to make sure that you're learning those valuable skills to be able to put them to the test and prepare you for your successful future. A little bit about those details. We have every kind of internship you can probably think of, from everything from production to development, so film production to sports production, programming, marketing, publicity, and comms. I've had interns work on the red carpet for those events. News and sports, which is something that me and Taylor really oversee, so everything with NBA marketing, NBA on TNT, everything with CNN, those really big shows that you want to know more about. Engineering and data, ad sales, finance, social, and editorial. A little bit about the details. We have 3 sessions, spring, summer, and fall. Our spring and fall are part-time sessions because obviously you're in school. So those range about 10 weeks where you'll be working 16 to 24 hours a week, hands-on experience fully with your team. And then in the summer, it's a little bit more longer, so about 12, sometimes 10, but mostly 12 weeks from June to August, which is what we're going into right now, where you'll be considered a full-time intern working 35 to 40 hours a week. You must have a 2.8 GPA required in order to be eligible for the program, which I know for none of you that is an issue. And then, of course, right now we have hybrid internships where you are to be in person 3 days a week with the 2 other days being remote. What days those are would be completely up to you. And then we also have MBA and master's internships, and those will be in the title of the internship role should you want to apply. What we offer, a valuable and useful onboarding and orientation experience. We tailor every single orientation to that specific session, so no 2 sessions are the same. And I will say, shout out to the team that creates it, AKA us. It's an amazing orientation opportunity because not only do you get to laugh and get to meet your intern peers that are in the same office as you, you really get to see what's going on. Who are we behind the scenes? We don't want to be out of tone. We don't want to be boring. That's not who we are. I mean, that's not who I am. I don't know if you guys are boring, but we don't like to be boring. We want to make sure that you feel welcome to the team and that you're embracing the culture already. Of course, we want you to have unique experiences from the beginning with your projects that will impact the business, with executive speaker series, those networking and social events, professional development, and amazing mentorship. And what we look for: diversity in any kind of thought, passion with media and entertainment itself. We want to see your personality. And one thing that I always look for is someone who can show me their personality. I don't want to see the typical kind of response you want to give me. I don't want to see, oh, if you have amazing curly hair, I don't want to see you slick back in a bun. I want to see who you are, that you would show your friends and your family in front of me. So, not to like say, but I have my hair out because hello, there's that. Sorry, Tay. Listen, it's like day 4 hair. It's okay, we get that. I get it. I understand. I'm here with you. But we want to see who you are authentically in person in your internship role. Of course, we want you to be hardworking, a natural leader. That should come as a first thought to all of you. And of course, tenacity. All right, a little bit about our brand, but I'm going to shoot it over to my partner, Tyler.
Yeah, kind of want to switch spots. She was hiding behind that plant.
I know, right?
Okay, we're going to talk about your brand and what that means. And honestly, you all know yourselves. No one knows you better than yourself. So I think that should come natural to a lot of you. And really, a lot of things we're going to cover here is nothing that you've never really heard before. You've definitely heard. How many of you heard about the elevator pitch? By show of hands. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think this is just further reassurance to you how much it is important, even at like a macro and a micro level, when you're interviewing companies, when you're at networking sessions, just really making sure that you have kind of these key things in the back pocket, so you know when you're meeting people, especially later on in today's sessions, that you kind of practice these things when talking about yourself, introduce yourself to someone. So your elevator pitch, really a short and sweet description about yourself, who you are. You don't want it to be lengthy, somewhere between 15 to 30 seconds. I know we have 30 seconds up there, but sometimes it can be between 15 seconds. Just really getting to the point, letting them know, who you are, why you're introducing yourself to them, and if there's a mutual connection, make sure you share that as well. But really, I think the key things to include should be your name, of course. If you have a certain title right now, a lot of you are students, so again, sharing maybe your university, what you're studying, your major, any specific internship that you're part of, making sure that you lead with that, letting them know which organization or company you're affiliated with. You could let them know your career goal. Obviously, if you're reaching out to connect with them, it's maybe something you feel that they could add value or educate you on. So making sure that you sorry, words are hard too.
Told you.
Make sure you reiterate that and share with them essentially what your career goal is and what you're aspiring for, what you're looking for, and always leave a call to action. You don't want to just, introduce yourself to someone and then walk away. I think you should go in there with a prepared question. If you have something specific that you need from that person, ask them directly and see where they could either help you themselves or point you in the right direction. I always think, just making sure that, you get something out of that conversation is important. So I think we wanted to share just some questions, that could help you as you think about your pitch. Oh yeah, and thank you for taking a picture. We definitely encourage that. As you guys see this, take some pictures. We're not holding the information hostage. We want to share this with you, so definitely take pictures.
Not an NDA.
So questions to build your pitch. I have students that ask me all the time, I don't really know what to say. How can I stand out? What are some things that I should be asking? And I think that's really going to be dependent on you, your own career goals, and obviously the person you're talking to. But these are just some pillars that we think have been successful and most efficient for students in networking spaces. So what do you do in your current role? How do you do it? That's something that I think it's pretty standard, and when you're having conversation with someone and learning more about them and vice versa. So, sharing I'm interning in XYZ. And then, what is your call to action? I talked about that, what does that look like? So that could be, sharing a business card, sharing a QR code, sharing a LinkedIn, asking for a follow-up chat. So really, just taking the extra step and being proactive and asking them hey, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Can we continue this conversation? I'm interested in working at ESPN this summer. I know you work there. I have, some interest in this department. I have this experience. What can you do for me? So just being proactive and thinking about essentially how you're going to be approaching that conversation. And the best way to do that is doing some research prior to. So I know you guys were shared a list of just speakers and things that are going to be part of networking sessions later. I hope you guys utilize your resources, do some proactive research going into those conversations. Networking. Tips for networking, again, nothing that you guys probably never have heard before. I'm sure you've learned this since grade school. Networking is very important, just making the time to network, so you guys could cross that off your list because you showed up here today. So congrats. And then also, leveraging relationships. And, so we as a company, we have lots of different brands and portfolios that sits underneath the WBD umbrella. So we're always making new connections, inviting people that we want to connect with, interns, talk to students, and leveraging people in the business that we think would be most useful to, sell what we're trying to get across. So we leverage relationships through our professional organization as well. So we encourage you all to do the same. And then also maintaining relationships is very important. So even if you were to come through an internship program at WBD or anywhere else, I think it's very important that, if it is your future long-term goal to work in a media or entertainment company, that you are maintaining those relationships. So whether that be with your team, your manager, you're just being proactive in reaching out and sharing updates as it relates to like your own career, any new jobs you landed, any wins that you've had in your career space, just really staying connected with those people. And yeah, I'm not gonna go through all these, you absolutely can take a picture of these as well, but just I think another important key point on this that I definitely want to shed some light on is introductory email. So when you're introducing yourself, similar to like elevator pitch, really just want to make sure that you're presenting your best self forward. Prior to you even meeting someone in an organization, your brand on paper is really how we evaluate you. So that being like your resume, your emails, your cover letters, which we'll talk more about later. That's how you're going to be presenting your best foot forward. So that also connects to email. So you want to make sure that when you're addressing people in email, you're using full names, you're using proper grammar, pronunciation, and that you're really getting to the point, being short and concise, but also closing off in a way that makes you stand out. You can remind them of a conversation you had or somewhere you met to really just remind them about yourself when you're introducing yourself. And so this continues. If you want to take a picture of this as well, I think it's just, some questions for you to think about as you are entering like the networking kind of stages. Things to remember. So I think, based on a lot of things I shared today, these are kind of like the key things that we've listed as things to remember that we've seen from working with students across our different internship cycles, fall, spring, and summer, is these are really essential tools I think that are going to help you navigate through, your career, even early in your journey, but even long term as you continue to grow and climb up the ladder. You just want to make sure that you're actively updating your resume and LinkedIn. So as you go through new experiences, you proactively add that to your resume and, really get your point across in those bullets of action statements that really make you stand out, and just continue to update that as you go along, as opposed to waiting a long period of time to update that. I think it's just always proactive to continue to update those things as they happen. Engage on your LinkedIn feed. So we always tell our interns when they are, they land an internship, when they get a promotion, when they, have a success win on a project they're working on, that they share that within their network. Not only does that give more visibility and exposure to your manager, your team, your peers, it just really sets you up for success because you never know, where that algorithm may reach and who's watching. And that may be an opportunity for you to bridge more connections. So continue to update your LinkedIn. I think social media, although it has many flaws, it does work in a lot of advantages in today's day and age, and LinkedIn is a great tool for that. And LinkedIn is also a great tool for networking purposes as well. So I know a lot of you, I've heard, NYU in the room today, I heard CUNY. There's going to be a lot of different people from different fields within your, your school organization, and that direct resource as well. You could filter on LinkedIn and look for people who went to your alma mater, who works at WBD, or works in a specific department. They may work at CNN, they may work at HBO. You could see what teams and what departments they work in and reach out to them and say, that's a great way to build a connection here. Like say, hey, I know you're also an NYU alum. Can we talk, and connect, and just, I want to set up a coffee chat to learn more about your day-to-day and what that entails. So utilizing LinkedIn. I know we're pressed for time, so I'm going to finish this up. And then also knowing how to introduce yourself. Again, so no one knows you better than you, so really just think about how you're presenting yourself forward and introducing yourself, and that, again, ties back to the elevator pitch. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Taylor now to talk about resumes and cover letters, all that jazz.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to quickly go over resumes, cover letters, and portfolios, so let's get right into it. So first up, resumes. You want to make sure the recruiter sees you. So one thing that you're probably going to hear from us a lot, or from any other recruiter, is make sure you're looking at the job description. Don't just look to see what skills we're looking for. Look at what you might be doing in that role and connect your past experience, whether that's from prior internships or whatever you do on campus, right? Try to connect that. See what you've already done that fits in what you will be doing, and make sure to highlight that on your resume. And of course, highlight the skills that we're looking for as well. Make sure that any links you have in the document work. You don't know how many times it says portfolio link right at the top, and I go and I click it, and it doesn't actually lead me anywhere, or the link doesn't work, or anything else, and I can't get there. So make sure that you're testing it out multiple times before you're submitting it, that the links are right there at the top, they're easy for us to see, and that they are clickable. And then last, Boolean. This is something that we as recruiters, we use this whenever we're searching for resumes within our systems. And this is basically just using keyword searches. So right, if I'm looking for any production interns for our CNN show teams, I'm probably gonna be using Adobe Pro, you know, any of those services in there, and I'm not gonna just say Adobe Premiere. I'm going to be typing out those individual softwares and platforms that we are looking for and that we use, that we're looking for the knowledge for them as well. So just make sure that you're putting in any of those technical skills that you've had, any programs that you've used in the past, and then even, you know, non-professional experience as well. If you have that in there, just make sure that you're listing out those skills in a clear way that, you know, we will likely be searching for them as well. Okay, and then resumes. Some to-dos, some to-don'ts. So make sure to, you know, make sure to take a picture of this one as well. Just make sure that you're highlighting the most relevant information and experience on your resume, right? We don't need to know the past 10 years from what you were doing back in high school, right? You want to make sure that you're putting the most relevant experience on there too, and that it's not, you know, pages and pages long. At your level, early in your career, one page should be fine. Your education should be at the top so we can clearly see where you're going to school, when you're graduating, what your GPA is, and then that way that's the first thing that we're going to be looking for before going on to everything else. And then of course, proofread, right? Make sure that you're double checking your resume, send it off to your career services, send it off to friends, family, people that you trust to give you honest feedback about how it looks and can check for any you know, final mistakes that you might have on there. And then another thing that I want to say with not to do is please do not submit it as a Word document when you're applying to positions, because that's going to mess up the whole formatting, and honestly, sometimes we can't even read it, and if we can't read your resume, we're going to move on to the next candidate. Always submit your resume and your cover letter as a PDF document. So yeah, a lot of these things are pretty basic. You probably heard it before, so I'm going to move on to the next slide here, which is about cover letters, and then lastly, portfolios. So for cover letters, a lot of people are like, do I really need a cover letter, right? Most people probably don't look at them. But when it comes to early careers, a lot of our positions, we do ask for a cover letter because we want to know, okay, what is it that you're looking for? But also, if any positions are writing heavy, we're going to use that cover letter to test your writing skills in a way. So how can you do this without sounding like you're just reiterating your resume, right? And we don't want to read a carbon copy of your resume. So we like to call this the golden bullet point. Find an experience, whether it's an award, a project that you did really well on, whatever it might be. Maybe it's a segment that you helped produce for your local TV channel or for your campus TV channel, right? Use those golden bullet points as a way to highlight the skills that you've had, the way that you've been successful, and a way to show us how we want you just as much as you want to be with us. So make sure that you have that, right? Your introduction in the first paragraph, introduce who you are, why you're interested in the company and the position. Below our minds with the second paragraph that will introduce your golden bullet point, and then wrap it all up, restate your interest again, and then that way we're like, oh wow, they won a Student ESPY award? Let me check their resume and see what did they do? What were the projects that they've had? What experience do they have that made them this great? And that way we'll want to, you know, invite you back for the next round and the next round after that. And finally, last but not least, portfolios and reels. So quick little tips here, right? for a lot of creative roles, whether it's marketing, writing, production, we want to look at your portfolios. So if you do have them, right, we don't need anything super fancy. We don't need you to be spending all this money on a professional website for us to be seeing all of your work. It's okay if it's a Google Drive. It's okay if it is a free WordPress site, right? One thing that we want to make sure is that it is easy for us to understand what we're looking at, right? So if you're using a Google Drive, it has folders that says writing samples, production samples, reels, whatever it might be. Everything is labeled accordingly. If you have a website, it is easy to navigate there as well. Again, links work. And you know, it's clean, it's well organized. There are no typos, and I think the same goes for resumes too. You make sure there are no typos there. And that it is achieving the right objective. So many times there are people who are applying to a political internship, right, for CNN political unit, and all of their experience on their resume and their portfolio highlights their work within the fashion beat. That's not showing me your knowledge for politics. If you have any experience at all, even if it is a school project where you're writing on the political beat, make sure it's a part of your resume, make sure it's a part of your portfolio. So for every position that you're applying to, everything that you're submitting your information to, make sure you are relating everything back to that role, because it's going to be super crucial when we're looking down, when we have hundreds, thousands of applicants coming in. We want to make sure that your experience is, you know, right there at the top, so that way when it comes down to it, there's no doubt in our mind that we are bringing you forward. All right, so that is everything on resumes, portfolios, and cover letters. So now it's time for Q&A. I don't know how much time we have left. About
12 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Look at that. Okay, cool. So we have a lot of time left for Q&A here. So we have our lovely colleague, Francesca, here, who's going to be helping us moderate our Q&A. So Francesca, if you want to come on up. I don't know how we're going to manage this, but I do know that there are the two mics on the side as well.
I feel like I'm Kim Kardashian in that meme that's like this, like popping her head out. Like, I can't stand behind that anymore. One really big thing that Taylor had mentioned also that I just want to point out is when you're doing your cover letters and submitting your resumes, make sure that the name that you're saving these documents are the name of the company that you're applying to. You don't know how many times we've seen Dear, another name of a company that I won't mention. It's kind of a little embarrassing. But two, it's also, you're not double checking your work now. So now you're just submitting to submit and not submitting to really want to be there at the company. So recheck the names that you're submitting that are on your documents, but also how you have them saved as. I've had so many saved as completely different orgs and companies' names and submitting it to us. We get to see the hyperlink, so that's
I've also seen on a cover letter where it was titled to the completely wrong show. Not even at WBD or CNN, it was from another like competitor's site. And I was like, that's not our show. That's not our anchor. All right, so that's an easy way for you to be knocked out of consideration. So please double check and make sure that you're highlighting the right company, the right position, everything else.
It all sounds like it makes sense, but you'd be surprised how many people it doesn't make sense for them. Like, common sense sometimes is not the common sense.
Flies right over the head. Just make sure you're double checking
okay,
those things.
We've chatted a lot.
There's a question over there, Gaby, I think.
Oh, where? Oh, love to see it.
over there too.
Oh, geez. We got one. I feel like this meme. We're going to start with the left side, and then we'll go left and right. Cool? Go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Brittany Panzarella. I'm an MBA candidate at Hofstra University. I study marketing management and business administration. I do have a question in regard to submitting portfolios. The current company I work for, I'm a marketing associate at that company, and I signed a very strict NDA, which means, we plan as far as 2024, 2025, so this is not published work yet, which means I can't share it. So how do you recommend navigating submitting portfolios when your best work is unable to be shared?
That's actually a very great question.
That is a great question. If there's any point in time that you've done work for them that has already been shared, obviously, then you can go ahead and share it. I do recommend going with legal and HR, like connecting with them, say, hey, I would love to see how I could potentially highlight my work on my portfolio. What is the best route to do this where we can still keep confidentiality, but you are also able to kind of share, whether it's not actual snippets of your work, but maybe it's looking at it from a different way, right? Maybe it's looking at the strategy behind what you've created. And maybe it's just kind of outlining what you are currently doing in your role. And you can even put a disclaimer saying, I'm unable to share my work right now because it's for the future. However, when it is shared, I will be able to, provide links to those works. But definitely connecting with legal, that is going to be your first route always, especially when you're going with any large, organization where there's a lot of IP that you're working around. You're going to want to get that approval before putting it on your portfolio because you don't know what you can share and say that, hey, I did this or not. So go to HR, go to legal, ask how you can share this, but it might be more like bullet point strategy points and the strategy behind what you're putting together out there before you're able to actually share the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to add?
You're good.
Okay, cool.
Okay, go ahead. All right, can you guys hear me? Okay. Yes. Hi, I'm Jade Welder. I'm a recent graduate from the New School looking for a career in writing, preferably journalism. So I have a little bit of an odd question. I brought 2 physical copies of my resume, 2 different versions, and I wanted feedback on it. Would it be possible if I brought them up to you to see what you guys would prefer?
Not you putting us on
Live
the spot.
feedback workshop. Wow, never did this before. I don't think we'll be able to give live feedback to you now. However, we are going to be hanging around later on for the networking session. So if you stop by there, we'll be able to give you feedback then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I bring the copies then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sonia Victoria Werner. You can also call me Victoria. I'm a recent grad from NYU. I studied drama, business, producing, and film at NYU. And my question is about, we talked a little bit more in the last session about how sometimes there's like 1,000 candidates for one position, right? Or that it sometimes feels like you're sending your resume and your cover letter into the ether and you never really know if it's even being seen. So I guess my question is how do you keep up the motivation and how do you maximize the chances of being seen when there's so many different people up for the position?
Yeah, I think I'll take this one. So I think if it's anyone that knows how many applicants you can get, it's pretty much us because we oversee literally our entire internship program. But one of the things that you can obviously use is your networking skills, and I think Tyler covered it, your LinkedIn, right? So let's say you're one of the 1,000 that are applying to this position, and you want to make sure that you stand out. You want us to really see, hey, I'm going to highlight to you what I can do. Okay, so now you know you're applying to the company, so it's a little bit about networking and searching, not stalking. Stalking is weird. So looking for those people on LinkedIn, right? You say, okay, you're looking for an early talent recruiter. Let me put in early talent recruiter, WBD, and you'll get a bunch of names that come up. And then usually in our names, you'll see what areas we highlight. So if you know if it's a journalism role or anything with news, then you're looking mostly for Taylor, right? So you're reaching out to her, and then in that message, you're not saying, hey, I submitted, can you look at this? Or no, you want to get to know us first because people like to talk about themselves, right? People will word vomit about themselves before getting into a little bit of the nitty gritty that you really want to know about. So reaching out saying, hey, I see that you are a recruiter, I'm really interested in this role, would love to know about the work that you do with interns within, that news area to see, if I can learn more from you. And then being able to throw it in there that, hey, I've also applied now that you've created conversation. Sometimes, yes, we like to cold email and do introductory messages, but also it can come off a little bit standoffish, like you just want one thing, you don't really want to get to create a connection or a conversation. So reaching out, doing that LinkedIn. Also, don't stalk on social media where you find the person's personal stuff because we've had many people reach out to us on our own personal social channels saying, hey, I applied to X, Y, and Z. First of all, how'd you even find me?
Don't do it.
Secondly, I look nothing like my LinkedIn picture on my personal stuff. So it's make the math. But it's reaching out and using those connections so that way in opportunities like this, you are now having that one-on-one opportunity to really talk to someone, right? Now, it's where you show us your personality. What's making you stand out than the other 999 people? And that's where that whole authentic part comes into play. If your personality stands out with the experience that you have, now you put yourself a little bit on top of the others because now I'm like, oh, that was actually a really good conversation. She asked us a question about live feedback at the summit, or they came up to us at the networking session saying, hey, I want to get to know more and really was interested in the conversation. Little things matter. And it's the small things people don't think about that really leave a lasting impression. So stalk professionally, use these opportunities because not everyone has these opportunities here, and then just go for it, right? Let you represent your resume in person.
Yeah. Can I add to that real quick?
Yeah.
I think outside of everything Gaby mentioned as well, to be honest, like when you submit an application for a job or internship, it is a large pool. It's like, kind of a one chance opportunity. Like, what can I do to stand out compared to these other 1,000 applicants that's applying for the same role? I think another huge part, I know a lot of information we shared today wasn't the most fun, but it is very important. I do think this is where we see the good stand out from the great, because the greats usually have a lot of these things polished and hands down. So when you are applying for a job, it is going to be important for you to read the job description and plug in those keywords, because we as recruiters, we're searching for those keywords. We met with the manager and teams. We know what they're looking for. So we use that to narrow down our pool and look for those specific things. So using the job description to your advantage is going to be very important. And then, LinkedIn is also another tool, but before you even get to the interview stage, before we get to meet you, your brand on paper is most important. So making sure that you don't leave any room for errors or typos. You use your career centers to utilize to, look over your documents before you submit them. Use your friends, your peers in the room with you to look over your documents before you submit them. Because then once you get back to that stage, it's, you're already in the running, So just making sure that that first part is clear, concise, and you check all those points.
Yeah.
I know AI was mentioned in the last session. AI does not narrow down our applicant pool. It is us looking through every single resume and cover letter. So I hope y'all don't think like, oh man, it's probably just a robot
Saying that.
declining me anyway. No, we are looking
Manually.
through every single one of those and using those keywords. So really make sure you're narrowing down, and then just show up. Show up to these events, show up to these panels, ask questions, show up whenever we're doing any of our virtual events.
Yeah, for sure.
We notice when the same people are coming and asking questions, and we'll be able to, when we see your application in the pool, we're like, oh, I remember that person. They asked us a really great question at CFC. Okay, let's give them a shot, right? So it also comes down to that, showing up whenever we're doing stuff on LinkedIn, wherever you can. Meet us where we are, and then we'll also meet you where you are here.
Yeah. Can't do the work for you if you don't want to do it for yourself. So.
Thank you so much.
That was a lot of information.
Yes. Sorry.
That was some really good advice, though. Thank you, guys.
We just kept
I'll
going.
take one from over here now.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Chris Moy. I'm a recent graduate from Queens College, and my question is about resumes. So I know you go through a lot of them every day. You mentioned mirroring and matching the JD. My question is it okay to use like the qualifications and expectations like verbatim, right? Or does that hurt your application? Is it seen as lazy? Because like I'm kind of in between where I don't want to seem like I just copy and pasted right from the JD, right, and just put it in. But I also don't want to hurt my chances by excluding certain keywords or key phrases that match the JD.
So think of the job description as more of a guide. Right, and while we're looking for those skills, while we're looking for those qualifications, and we're looking for people who are ready to do the work that they will be doing in the role, we don't want you to copy and paste verbatim, right? So find new ways to share that information in there. For example, if we are looking for a writer for the political unit, right, and obviously one of those skills that you'll be doing while you're in here is going to be writing for our digital, CNN Digital, right? Don't just put experience writing for digital sites, right? You want to put, okay, I've written X amount of articles that has had X amount of reach, right? So we want to see how you have done the work in the past, but it's also made an impact, and a lot of people have seen it, and it's attracted viewers, attracted new audiences, and things like that, right? So that shows us more than just your past experience writing. It gives us a little bit more information too. So try to do the same when it comes down to the skills and everything else that we're looking for, but do not copy verbatim. Not necessarily it won't hurt you, but it's not going to give us anything extra there too.
Okay, thank you.
I would say the only time for a lot of my roles that are more technical, I think if you have certain experience working with certain softwares, you definitely want to list those out, because I do want to see how advanced you are in Excel. Do you have experience with Adobe, Creative, Suites, and things like that? Those are the only time I think it's okay to verbatim list out those things, but everything Taylor mentioned, just really summarizing your skills and experiences. And always think of the resume as representing your hard skills, and I think the cover letter is an opportunity for you to really elaborate more on your soft skills. So you'll have more room, per se, to explain more in more detail. So don't worry about getting everything off in the resume, because you could talk about it in the cover letter, but also leaving room to talk about things in the interview as well. You want to make the manager more interested to have a further conversation to learn more about your experiences.
Yeah, definitely. For me, just really quickly on that, your resume should tell me things that you've done while you were in that position and the things that you've helped make that job be better in the position that you were in, and not giving back to me what I know I can find in a JD. So if I can go look at your position right now and look on it, let's say on Google, and it's matching exactly what's on your resume, you're not showing me that the work that you did or what came out of that experience. You're just showing me a JD, the traits and the things you have to do to get a job done. So it should really tell a story about your time there and not something that we can find out ourselves. If that makes sense. Thank you. Cool.
All right, I know we're a little pressed for time, so we're going to take one more question.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for coming here today, for your time. I'm Victoria. I go to NYU. I study media culture and communications. And my question is more about the next steps. I had applied to one of the positions, and I received that video interview, but I honestly didn't have the best experience because of the layout and the way it is. And it's, for me, I feel like it would be much better talking in person or having like a chat, coffee chat, one of those calls, or reaching out through emails on other ways other than that video interview. And I was wondering if that's like the only way after that step, after submitting my application, my resume and everything, is like that video component is the only way of like reaching out to you and like you listening to what I have to say in my words, not just on paper.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of kick us off with this one. So yes, so the first round for our interviewing process is a higher view video interview. And we can put this into a little bit of perspective for you with numbers, right? Each of us have about 43 recs that we're working on for internships, meaning we manage those 43 interns when they're here as well. For each of those recs, we probably see anywhere between 500 to 1,000 or more applicants. And we have to narrow that pool down to 15 to 20 to move forward with the higher view. So 42 recs, 15 to 20 candidates per rec.
Someone do that math, actually, please, at the same time.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, right? And that means if we had to do a call with every single one of them, we would never be able to get it done. So the higher view video interview, even though it is not the most fun process, we know that is how we got hired here too. It is the best way for us to be able to meet as many candidates as possible to fill the roles that we all have. And we're just 3 people here. We still have a whole bunch of other people on our team that have that many recs per person too. So it's a lot of people that we're seeing, and it's a lot of people that we have to meet and we have to get through the process within a matter of weeks. So we understand it's not the best process for the candidate to go through. It's very nerve-wracking, but there are ways to mitigate that and to make that feel better. And that's one thing by practicing. So one of the ways that I used to prep for video interviews is I would literally open up my laptop. I'd go to the little, well, it used to be a little camera thing on, on the Macs, right? And I would open that up, I'd record myself, I'd cover the paper so I'm not looking at myself, and I'd make it, and I'd answer questions, literally by myself. I'd do that, and then I'd watch the playback to see, okay, where am I mumbling? Where am I looking down? Where does it look like I'm reading off of my resume, because I do have it in front of me, right? Or my little notes that I have off to the side. I'd send that to friends. I'd do it with friends as well, and I'd get their feedback. Because the only way that you're gonna get more and more comfortable with doing higher view video interviews is by doing it, because it's uncomfortable, right? You're staring at yourself, you're answering the question, it can be nerve-wracking. So I think the best way to kind of get over that hump and to be more comfortable with doing those video interviews is just by practicing it, doing it, and just kind of know that you're not alone in that feeling, that other people definitely feel that way too. But you can only do the best that you can, and you just gotta go in with your head held high, put your best foot forward, and then show up everywhere else, right? Show up to these events, show up and network with us when we're meeting you on campus, or when we're here, or when we're doing live virtual chats as well, because that's gonna be another way for you to show us, hey, I applied, but get to know a little bit more about me too in real time. So yeah, that's just a little bit about that, but I don't know if anybody else had anything to add.
I think that was, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of it is also again, with Taylor saying, your mindset, how you approach it, because if you think about it from perspective, Taylor mentioned that we, for one role, we're seeing over 1,000 applications. So if you make it to the higher view stage, to like the final 15 cut, that means we already think you're a great fit for this role. So we just want to hear you, learn more a little bit about yourself. So the hire review is really a way for you to just talk about you. And again, no one knows you better than you, so it should really be really easy to just talk about you, your experiences, and why you think, reminding us why you think you're a great fit for this role. Because after that is usually where you meet with the manager and the team. So congrats to make it to hire review stage.
Yeah,
I know it's really
congrats.
tough, so that's a really big, a really big moment for, I think for a lot of candidates just make it to that stage. But yeah, I think just practicing, and even on the hire review, you might see that we don't just throw you right in. We start off with just sharing like tips and advice and just really trying to calm you before you start the interview process with us. And just keep in mind, it's very short. Most hire review interviews are between 15 to 20 minutes because that is not our final evaluation of a candidate. We really want to make time and leave room to really get to know the candidate. So again, just really shining light on those soft skills and why you'd be a good fit for this opportunity. But also, I think a lot of candidates forget the most important piece is why do you want to specifically work at WBD? Because a lot of work, within the entertainment space, you could do it anywhere else. So why specifically WBD, I think, is what we really try to get out of those hire review interviews to know if you'll be a great fit for this internship program.
Yeah, and a lot of the questions are questions you can expect for any interview to have, like why WBD? Why this internship role? What makes you passionate about media and entertainment? Those are questions that to you should be able to show us your personality through them because they're not rehearsed. They're coming from you itself. Yeah. So it lets your personality stand out. That's our first chance to really now put the paper to the side and who are you? Who are you as a person? Are you gonna come and bring this great attitude and positive mindset to, to the team, or are you just really gonna give us the typical black and white answer?
Yeah.
So
and we throw some fun ones in there too.
Yeah, we do. It's not as boring as it may seem. Like,
yeah,
imagine
we want to know what shows you guys are watching.
I want to laugh too. You might put me onto some game that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Don't know. But yeah, cool. I think that's it.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thank you guys.
Well, thank you
so
guys.
much.